Hey, what up? It's your girl Whitney coming back at you with another video. Before we get into the content of the video, please be sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment saying that I subscribe, comment you subscribe, and I'll be sure to personally reply back to your message. So today's video, I want to continue with the Star Brim commentary. And so my question for today is, when you're a gangster, when is doing too much considered doing too much? You know, like you hear the phrase, real gangsters move in silence, you know? But it just seems like in today's day and age, people aren't moving in silence. You know, if you don't know, some more paperwork from Star Brim's court case dropped. And as you know, of course, she's being charged with conspiring in the hit that was ordered on those two bartenders that got mixed up with Cardi B, that Cardi B's husband literally messed with, and then the slashing of Jelaine Little. Jelaine Little was, I guess, the ex-godmother of her blood set, and so she slashed her on both sides of her face, and she's facing time for that. And so some of the paperwork that dropped says that some blood associates were in Facebook Messenger on a chat, and they're sitting there talking about their illegal activity on a chat. And so my thing is, though, you know, if you're a gangster and you're out here in these streets and you're doing, you know, these things that you're doing, you know, I would prefer you to have like a, you know, a regular job and stuff like that. But people have to provide for their families. People have to do what they have to do. But you know, when you're out here and you're doing what you're doing, you just can't make certain moves. You know, you really can't be on social media like that. You can't be in Facebook Messenger as they were doing, talking about the slashing of Jelaine Little and other criminal activities of theirs. These are blood members of Star Brim and Cardi B's blood set 59 Brims in Facebook Messenger, people that are charged in the case in Facebook Messenger talking about their alleged criminal activities. And so it's just when you're doing certain things, you just can't move a certain way. Now, you know, I've seen interviews with Star Brim. I've seen her on two very popular podcasts. She comes off as, you know, very likable, personable. She has a very interesting story to tell. Very interesting story. Has personality. Seems like her personality is built for, you know, this, you know, YouTube game. Is why she has a podcast called Keeping It Beaut. But I wonder, did she do too much? You know, allegedly in the paperwork, it says that she was on the phone talking to blood members organizing the hit on the two bartenders at the strip club called Angels. And it's like, you know, you're allegedly the godmother of the set, and you're on the phone and you're ordering hits. You know, I know there's probably like a code that they were talking in, but, you know, FBI, police, they probably know all the codes. So it's like when you're in jail and you're the godmother of a set, you know, it's too much talking gangster business on the phone. You know, we saw that in the Tekashi case. We saw that in the Tekashi case where, you know, they're on the phone and they're talking to the people behind the wall because allegedly there is a lineup. There's a street lineup for the different blood sets, and then there's a lineup for the people behind the wall. A pecking order. And the same in the Tekashi Treyway case is that they were doing too much talking over the phone. So I'm watching her interviews, and you know, when she was on the Brilliant Idiots podcast. She was on their podcast, and she was talking a lot of blood stuff, and you know, some stuff she was shying away from. She wasn't going into the exact details, intricacies, but she was talking a lot of blood stuff. And then she went on another podcast, and she was kind of hesitant to talk about that. I think because somebody got in here and said, "Stop talking all this blood stuff." But you know, you tell me, if you're Star Brim and you're the godmother, alleged godmother of a blood set 59 Brims, should you be out here doing interviews? I mean, to have the podcast is one thing, because you could have a podcast and you could be a part of a blood set. You could just not be claiming it 24/7 and just have the broadcast and come up with interesting topics and guests and things like that that people want to see. But do you think she was doing too much? Is it too much when you're the godmother of a set to be on very popular podcasts that get traction, that do well on YouTube, that millions of people are going to see on the World Wide Web, and to be stating that you're Brim, what the Brim and Star Brim stands for, how you're blood, how you're this, how you're that. She didn't say that she was the godmother on one of those podcasts, but she did say that she was the boss. So if I'm the police and I'm the feds and I'm looking at this, and you're telling me that you're the boss, and my theory is that you're the godmother, you're kind of admitting to what it is that we already know. You're not contesting that, So it's like, was she doing too much? And like I said, we see that with the Tekashi Treyway thing. They're on the phone, and everybody knows now it was it Mel Murder? I forgot who the other person was. No, it was Mel Murder and Jim Jones. Now, never in a million years did I imagine when that paperwork first dropped and it said individual number one, and remember everybody was trying to figure out who individual number one was, and then we found out that it was Jim Jones. Like, dang, we didn't know that it went that far. Not to say that Jim Jones was all the way up here, but it's like plot twist, individual number one is Jim Jones. And it's like they're on the phone, they're talking about how they're going to super-duper violate Tekashi. And there's some discussion about what super-duper violate means. To violate might mean to rough up. To super-duper violate might mean something else. Obviously, they weren't talking about killing him. They mentioned, hitting the security, making it so nobody wants to be security for Tekashi, basically hurting him but not killing him. And my thing about it is, why are we doing all this talking on these phones? I'm not a street person. I'm a book smart person. But I just wonder, why are we doing all the talking on these phones? Why are we doing this? And if you're a street person and you're really in the streets like that, are you not hesitant? Are you not scared? Are you not scared to speak so freely on the phone? Because if you're really out here doing what you're doing, there's always somebody watching. There's always somebody watching. Then again, you could be like Big Meech, head of the Black Mafia family, and, traffic all those drugs and all the violence. And Big Meech never said a word on the phone. His brother was the one that did all the talking on the phone. Big Meech never said a word over the phone, and he's doing like 20-something years. He did 13 years already. He started out at a maximum security facility. Now he's at a lower security facility. So, it just depends. But bottom line, whether you do talk on the phone or not, if you're really in the streets and you're doing illegal activity, you don't need to be talking on the phone like that. I don't know what system they have to come up with. I know the Mafia didn't talk on the phone like that. But then again, the Mafia, back in the heyday of the Mafia really didn't have cell phones. They had household phones. And there were some wiretaps on that. But from my recollection, because I was born in 1989, all I know about the Mafia is what I see in movies and what I see in documentaries and interviews with people like Sammy the Bull and documentaries on people like John Gotti and stuff like that. But, they move differently. Obviously they move differently because that's the whole reason why they had to come up with the RICO. I forgot what RICO stands for, but basically they were out there, they were hunting the mob, and they couldn't get to the big fish. So what the RICO did is that if you have any little piece to do with this illegal criminal organization, that is an organization that exists to do criminal activity, and if you participate in any of the activities that aid this criminal organization, you then can be roped up into what's called a conspiracy and what is called the RICO. So then through that, because the RICO was created to get the mob, because it was bothering the FBI, they couldn't get the mob, through that, now you're able to get the small fish. And so the small fish, the little guy, the soldier that's putting all the work, he's not really built like that. You can have people like Sammy the Bull. You can have people out there that can shoot, that can kill people all day. People like Nicky Barr, Sammy the Bull, Preacher, the Black Hand of Death, and they can kill people all day, but when it's their time to possibly facing the electrical chair or doing time, they don't want to do that time. That is why he who always puts in the work and does the shooting isn't always the strongest one in the room. you know. But so back to what I was saying. So the RICO Act allowed for them to get the little guy, which made the pathway towards the big guy, the top dog. And so they moved differently. They moved differently, and they had to move differently because the government had to create a whole new way to get them. So it just seems like these new gangsters these days, they do way too much talking on the phone. They're all over social media. They're just posting stuff. I don't know if I guess they think nobody's watching, but they're watching. The feds are watching. Yeah, the feds are watching this right now. The Fed, somebody is always watching. You know how people say, no matter how smart you are, no matter how strong you are, there's always somebody stronger, better, faster. Where there's, no matter how clean, how precise you're moving, there's always somebody watching. A famous mafia boss once said, Michael Franzini, he does a lot of interviews at Live TV, Michael Franzini says, if you want to do dirt or you're trying to do a crime, the best thing that you can do is do it by yourself. That's the best thing. That's the best thing. Because between the people that are doing the criminal activity that really aren't built for that, between the talking on the phone and just moving a different way, you're bound to get caught. You're bound to either go to jail or be dead. So the best thing to do, if you're out there and you're in the streets and you're doing what you're doing, is to make enough money to get out. But, people get into it, they get addicted to the money, the lifestyle. These like, as much as you make money, the money goes out, I guess. I don't know. I'm not from the streets. But those are just my thoughts. I just wonder sometimes, just was she doing too much? From talking on the phone, from talking game business on the phone, to the pot, to the interviews, to her blood associates talking about crime activities on Facebook Messenger. I just wonder if the FBI looks like that and says, oh, you want to wave it in our face. You want to say that you're openly a gang member and that you want to do this. And truth be told, they're cracking down on a lot of gangs. They just recently arrested the Woos and the Chews. Now the 5'9" Brim Bloodset, 9 trade with Takashi, all because of the whole Junior situation. As you know, Junior was the 15-year-old teenager from the Bronx that got chopped down in the street with a machete by the Trinitarian gang. And so just after that, it's like, okay, well, we got to sweep these gangs up. And unfortunately, that's what's happening now. But like I said, if people just moved a lot smarter, they could not have gotten so easily caught up. But like I said, once the feds come, like I said in my previous Brim video, once the feds come and get you, they got you. They got you. They start their investigation years in advance. So once you hear that little knock on the door, and you open it, and it's usually it comes like at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to catch you off guard, because they've been surveilling your house, so they probably know when you're home, when you're not home, and they bust through the door. By the time they got you, they got you. So those are just my thoughts. Y'all let me know, was she doing too much? Could she have done things better? Could she have moved a different way? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Please be sure to hit the notification bell so that every time that I drop a video, you will be notified. Thank you, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.